Welcome to Real Estate Exposed, helping people in San Diego buy, sell, and refinance their biggest investment, delivering you timely truths, exposing important issues, and helping you get into the right home. Here are your hosts, real estate expert Daniel Beer, top-ranked professional by sales volume at one of San Diego's largest brokerages, and his mortgage partner, Todd Pianin, with over $2 billion in funded loans.
What's up, San Diego? It is Real Estate Exposed here on News Radio 600 KOGO. Good to be back with you again. Your hosts, top producing real estate agent at the biggest brokerage, or local top producing real estate agent at the biggest brokerage in all the world, including all North America. That's me, Daniel Beer, with the Daniel Beer Group. And that's per Wall Street Journal, top 250 teams in the entire nation as far as volume sold. And my man Todd Pianin. What's happening, Todd?
Good morning, Dan.
Todd Pianin of Home Street Bank, the people we trust our clients to, our friends to, and simply
family too.
That's true, family. Yeah. And I can still say, I'll say this as long as I can say it until the day I can't say it any longer, but to this day, still the people that have never once failed to close on a loan they've committed to. And so that's Todd Pianin here, Home Street Bank. Big day coming up here, man. It's just good to be back in studio with you.
Absolutely. I'm happy it's just you and I today. We haven't had some time just you and I together, and we got a lot to talk about today. We got a lot of things that happened this past week, and I really want to talk about you, and, you know, I want to hear some predictions of what's going to happen going into the fall and the winter and, you know, all that kind of jazz. And then, you know, obviously October 1st is come and gone, and we now have the Yuan in the IMF, so we'll talk a little bit about that and what that could mean. I know you've got questions for me on that, so super excited, glad to be here on the Sunday morning, and maybe we'll get a Charger win this weekend. You think?
Yeah, well, that'd be nice. So, look, we're going to get back to the heart of what this show is all about, which is Real Estate Exposed. There's a reason the show is called that, and we titled the show that way because we want to bring you the information that you just don't get anywhere else. How does this industry really work? What does it mean when you see certain type of advertising? What really matters in the process of home purchasing, home selling, or getting a mortgage finance loan? What is actually let's peel this back. If I slow myself down, essentially, there's what we call the 80-20 rule.
Right.
And it applies to nearly everything in life.
Except for real estate.
Because it's more like the 90-10 rule.
Exactly.
Right. But basically, the basic concept of the 80-20 rule is that 20% of activities give you 80% of results. And so highly productive people and highly effective people hone in on that 20% and focus there without getting distracted by all the other shiny objects around them. And so in real estate, home purchase, home selling, and mortgage, there also are the few things that actually matter and that make a huge impact, and those things that don't. And so we like to expose all that. So we're going to jump back into that in how it affects this shifting market that we are seeing.
We are seeing a shifting market, right, Dan? I mean, we're going into fall, winter season, which, you know, across the country, the myth is that, you know, the market dies and there's not a lot of inventory on the market. And, you know, why should I sell my house in the fall or the winter? Nobody wants to see a house. I guess they've never lived in San Diego when the sun is always shining. But, I mean, let's debunk that myth again, Dan. Can you debunk that myth?
So as we go into this fourth quarter, and as we either look at our numbers going back to the fourth quarter 2015 or the fourth quarter 2014.
You usually have monster fourth quarters.
And even if we compare it to what the market itself does. See,
right.
No one looks at the big picture. Everybody is just spewing out headlines they've seen, you know, on some kind of national media outlet. But
it's kind of like those headlines about Hillary. Sorry, I got off track for a second.
But in San Diego County, what happens is that you actually have very much year-round demand from buyers. But sellers go into hibernation to some degree into these winter months, assuming there won't be buyers. And it's a very poorly put together assumption because it's not based on any kind of real data.
Well, isn't it real data that, like in Boston, when it's negative 10 degrees outside. You don't want to throw mom and the kids in the back of the SUV and then drive and look at houses.
Absolutely it is. And have you noticed how many people in San Diego County are from Boston, are from the Midwest, are from cold weather states, are from Colorado, or are just all over the country?
Right.
San Diego, there's a reason you go to a Padre game and half the place is the other team.
Right.
Same thing with the Charger game. It's because we have a tremendous amount of implants, and that's not a criticism. That's a beautiful thing. That's what makes us such a great city. There's this amazing degree of diversity here. But one of the negatives to it is that these people from all over the country in different, typically cold weather markets are also bringing with them not just their suitcases and their families, but they're bringing with them their preconceptions of how markets behave.
Right.
And they're never actually tied to the truth of how the market really functions here locally. And so when you look at the actual absorption rate, which takes into account not just how many people are buying homes, but how many people are buying homes relative to how many homes are coming to market and are available, what you find is that the fourth quarter remains a very, very strong quarter to be a home seller because you have all your neighbors that are not as well educated as you are because they're not listening to shows like this and reading the material you read, local, more accurate material.
Right.
They're not educating themselves to the point where they understand that there's actually a lot of buyers present, and while all their neighbors go into hibernation waiting for the spring and summer season, you are taking advantage of those buyers that can't find a lot of homes to look at or purchase. So the absorption rate remains strong in the fourth quarter.
And the buyers are real. I mean, these are
exactly.
I mean, these are real buyers who are ready to move, and it's just amazing to me the high. Like I always like to say, the best vintage. We see good vintage. We see good people who actually have, good income, good down payment, good credit. I mean, these are actually real buyers that want to buy right now.
That is a phenomenal point. And I'm going to give you a number, by the way, if you want to call in and just pick our ear. Our phone number here is 800-676-2420. That's 800-676-2420. And Todd, you're absolutely right. You know who we have looking in the fourth quarter?
Who?
And by the fourth quarter, of course, meaning October, November, December.
Right.
We have people that are relocating.
Right.
People that have just finalized divorces.
Right.
People that just gave birth. People that just got married. People that need to purchase. They're very serious people.
Well, their accountant's telling them they need to get a write-off before the end of the year, too. I mean, that's a big thing that we always hear, right?
Absolutely, and that gives a nice prop to the high-end market.
Right.
I've literally seen property sell going into December, end of year, especially in the high end,
right,
where some executive somewhere in town is looking for that big write-off or whatever's going on with their accounting that their accountants advise them on, and they take down a property, and literally they got to do that because it was to their benefit. But here's the other side: the seller was in the same boat. The seller actually was willing to sell at a certain rate that year to take a certain loss to offset gains.
Got it.
That they would not have been willing to take come January 1st. And so you have both parties benefiting, and that's more of a high-end market concept to some degree. But what you'll find is that there's a lot of wealthy people that own $300,000 and $400,000 and $500,000 investment properties, and you'd be surprised that what they're willing to do on December 20th that they're not willing to do on January 1st.
It's true. So one more question for you, Dan. I mean, are you getting any uncertainty around the real estate market in regards to this election that's coming up? I mean, we're not going to talk about our views. We're not going to talk about who we're going to vote for and all that kind of jazz. But I mean, are sellers saying to you, maybe we should wait and see what happens with the election, or do you think that has something to do with it too?
Well, for you listening, why don't I toss this right back at you? Have you found yourself worried about the election? People talking about the election? I have a very particular view on this topic, and it's a passion of mine, and I'm going to debunk this myth coming up out of the break. You want to be with us to understand how the election cycle affects the current real estate environment here locally. Remember, if you need to reach us, the phone number is 800-676-2420. And I'm going to throw this back at you, but with an additional bonus this week, just because we've had such phenomenal feedback on the market positioning reports that we create custom and unique to your home, the only true way to strategically position your house for sale. Well, we're going to now add in an extra bonus that's not going to cost you anything, just like the other one doesn't. We're also going to couple that with our room-by-room analysis. So visit this site. It's valuesinsandiego.com. Okay, we've set this up special for you. Valuesinsandiego.com. That's where you'll be able to get a market positioning report so you don't have to deal with what all the other home sellers deal with, which is simply the comps. That's old news, and it's only what every other agent in town, including those just out of real estate school, can supply. Rather, let's be strategic. That's what this show's about. That is valuesinsandiego.com. Get your free market positioning report plus your room-by-room analysis so that you're best equipped for sale. Coming up out of the break, we're going to attack that issue. How does the election affect the current market cycle? A phone number for you again, 800-676-2420. You're with Todd Pianin of Home Street Bank and Dan Beer of the Daniel Beer Group. So you're overly focused on the election. You're thinking of selling your home. You're thinking of buying a home. And the election's on your mind.
It's on my mind.
And who could blame you after, we just had the debate.
First debates.
It's all heating up. It's very much present. I was kind of sensing a little bit of the fever of the election was to some degree dying down. I wasn't hearing the conversation as much in my social circles. Now debate happens. It's all anyone's talking about, and they're tying it to how it affects the real estate market. This is an issue that I want to debunk once and for all. I want to talk about this because too many people focus on the election as it relates to the housing market. Todd, before I ask you what you hear people typically asking, you have all these people you do mortgages for, and they trust you. You're one of these people. See, there's people out there in the world that are, they do taxes or they do this or they do mortgage, and you shop them for pricing for this and for that. But you're the type of person where, there's that attorney that's just trusted. There's that realtor that's trusted. That mortgage person that's just trusted, always keeps a circle of people that just consider you a confidant, in a circle that's always growing as people get to experience the world of doing business with Todd Pianin.
And Taisha Lindsay.
And Taisha, your partner.
Right.
So you hear their fears, you hear their concerns. Okay, if this is a concern of yours, call 800-676-2420. If the election as it relates to real estate is a concern, give us a shout. You're listening to Real Estate Exposed with Daniel Beer, Todd Pianin. Phone number is 800-676-2420.
So we have a mutual friend that we're refinancing right now, and we locked her in prior to the debates because one of the things that, what they're saying on Wall Street right now, Dan, and I'm waiting for your debunk about this, but what they're saying on Wall Street is they've already priced in a Hillary win. And if Trump had come out with it and killed it in the debates, and depending upon what poll you read, he may have won, he may have lost. It was 55-45 Hillary, whatever. I'm not going to get into it. We're not going to have a political discussion. But I was fearful that I didn't want her to if all of a sudden Trump had won, we could have seen a major crash, and we could have seen all kinds of crazy ththings happen. You know what I mean? And so one of the things we're telling our clients right now is if rates are good, you can afford the payments, and we can get you the lowest rate possible. The rates we locked her in at for a refinance was unbelievable. She was super happy about that. So take it, because we can't predict the future. But if there is some semblance of craziness that happens with this election, it will affect the financial markets.
You have right now, at least what I looked at just on Friday, last I looked, you have rates at a great place compared to even, let's go back 3 weeks. They look good. They continue to be in a nice sweet spot.
They're in
Let's at least say that.
They're in the threes.
They're in the threes.
Which is unbelievable.
When I see threes, you see my teeth because I start smiling.
Exactly.
Okay.
Threes are. I mean, for those of you who are listening today, I mean, it's like unbelievable when I tell you when someone tells me, if I quote them just for the sake of argument, 3 7/8, and then they cringe because they want 3 3/4. I'm like, people. When Dan and I started in this business, people were happy to get a 6% 5-year fixed, right? I mean, that was like a home run for them. I mean, Dan, 10 years ago when we were working with your clients, if we got them in the 5s or the 6s, they were happy as can be.
And that was 2006 where there was actually a propped up market.
Exactly. I mean, it's just amazing to me. Anyway, Dan, so I want you to debunk. We don't have a lot of time. So debunk this election myth.
Well, here's the thing. We constantly get people that are asking us about, how does the election affect the real estate market? Or maybe I'll wait till after the election. And right. I just always laugh, frankly, whether that's rude or not. I just laugh. And the reason I laugh is because you get Hillary supporters who are just waiting until after the election because like there's just going to be this, the markets are going to be completely just fall apart if Trump were to win. And then you have the Trump people that are just waiting till after the election because what if Hillary wins? And this is the third election I've lived through while being in this business at a high level. Mm-hmm. And what I know is that the election is just another excuse for procrastination. Human beings are professional procrastinators. I just spent 4 days at an event called High Performance Academy, and a big topic there was productivity, and a big issue is procrastination. And the human condition, for whatever reason, is attracted to excuse making. And I'm telling you that the election is no different from when people tell us, oh, well, maybe it's the best time of year because it's spring, or maybe it's the worst time of year because it's summer, but the summer's actually the best time of the year because, there's so many people, so many homes for sale, but the summer's the worst time of year because everyone's on vacation, there's no buyers, or the holidays are horrible because everyone's focused on the holidays, but then the holidays are great because there's such a little
Well, there's family in town for the holidays. So if I want to show somebody a new house I'm thinking about buying, I got grandma and grandpa in town. It's kind of cool, actually.
It's just crazy.
I've bought houses in December. It's been great.
But the excuses I hear,
right?
Is it Labor Day? It's making or breaking the market. It's this because it's Thanksgiving. Oh, it's that because it's hug your sister day. Like there's just always a reason that people are going to wait. And the election is the prime one. But I challenge you to go back and look at the last few election cycles and tell me if outside of normal market conditions, whatever the market condition was at that time,
right,
what did the election have anything to do with it? It is just feeding into people's
procrastination.
Just the human.
Their procrastination. They don't want to make a decision. I mean, you're so right. I mean, we always talk about the home selling seminars, Dan, that the time to sell is when you're ready to sell. It's the market is what the market is.
This isn't about like, hey, go sell your house now or go buy a house now.
No.
That's not what we're here for.
Right.
What we're here for is please make decisions based on your life, not based on some completely just fabricated
or media thing that's been pushed into your head.
The media's not even saying that it affects the real estate market because it doesn't.
It doesn't. Well, they are saying if Trump wins, that it could affect it.
Yeah, that's what one channel says. The other channel says a different thing.
Right. Hey, if you want to get in touch with Dan or I, you could always reach out to us at 1-800-676-2420. That's 1-800-676-2420. And I have to tell you that I've seen this new market guide that Dan and his team have put together, and it's at valuessandiego.com. It goes above and beyond what you're normally seeing in the marketplace, and I'm telling you that you are giving up a free opportunity to not see what your property is worth and looking at it on a room by room, which is amazing to me that his team is taking the time to do that. So I highly push you to go to valuessandiego.com, or again, reach out to us at 1-800-676-2420, 1-800-676-2420.
Coming up next, we are going to be touching on the issues that are most pertinent today, what's going on in the macro environment, and meaning that the Chinese and the Yuan are making moves and repositioning themselves in the global economic environment. We're gonna talk to Todd Pianin here. How could that affect the entire economic system across the globe? That's coming at you. Real Estate Exposed, Daniel Beer, Todd Pianin. Back with you. Real Estate Exposed, News Radio 600 KOGO. Right here in San Diego County, local with you, Daniel Beer of Keller Williams Realty and my man Todd Pianin. The person in my real estate world that I would say is most in my inner circle of people I trust and go to, Todd Pianin, Home Street Bank, his partner Taisha.
Partner.
And my co-host here on the show. We're going to hit it. And Todd, why don't you lead us off here? What's going on in China and what's going on with the Yuan, the currency markets, and how it could affect, frankly, the world?
Well, I mean, basically the IMF, which is relatively like I hate to say it, but it's in economic circles verbalized as like a secret society. And they have, as of October 1st, have now allowed the Chinese currency, which I can't pronounce properly.
The Yuan.
The Yuan or something like that.
The Yuan.
They're allowing that now into the IMF. What the rumor on the street is that this would eventually replace the dollar as the reserve currency. Because lots of people have been stockpiling dollars. Dollars have been the reserve currency. And if you look at most data points or if you look at most charts, most of the time the reserve currency stays in place for about 40 years. And we've been well past the 40 years. And, because China owns a lot of our debt, they're saying this will devalue the dollar. This will start an inflationary move. This could cause all kinds of, long-term effects, especially if the yuan becomes the new reserve currency, which means that basically it's taking the U.S. out of sort of global domination, so to speak, as being the currency it's backed. Concerns I have, real frankly, is that the yuan, what is that really backed by? You know what I mean? They just seem to print and print and print. It's going to create some false inflation in our marketplace. This week, we had durable goods that came out really bad. We had retail sales that came out really bad. Transportation came out okay. But now you take this into effect, this could possibly be a real volatile market that we're looking at. I mean, this is going to change some things.
That is true, for sure. Right. Look, and if they ever became the reserve currency, forget it. And I'm not smart enough to figure out exactly what would be happening.
I'm not smart enough
either. What I do know is you're going to want to talk to a trusted financial advisor. We have a perfect and beautiful person for you. If you don't have someone you really trust, or if you do and want a second opinion, reach out to us. We'll connect you. Stephanie Bernier, Wealth Consulting Group.
Been on the show several times.
800-676-2420. But point being is this. I know there'd be opportunity because there'd be volatility.
Correct.
And so what most people do is they hear volatility, they hear shifting markets, they hear that there's movement and unpredictability in the marketplace, and so most of them will cower and shrink. And most of them
opportunity is going to be in real estate, gold, and silver.
So
it's going to be intangible.
So you're predicting inflation.
I'm predicting inflation. You are going to get intangible goods. So I mean,
there'd be fear.
Yes,
which would tie in with that volatility, which typically
correct.
is going to go there to. So you're probably exactly right.
I mean, you're going to see gold go up, you're going to see silver go up, and I think you're going to see a little tick up, even though you disagree, Dan, a little bit, because inflation is going to come.
There's other factors working against real estate.
Right. But I think that with inflation coming in, you're owning a home or owning a piece of property is going to there's an inflationary factor here, which maybe will get some of these people off the fence who have been sitting around waiting for these interest rates to be at zero before they decide to buy something.
Absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see. It'll be look. We're understating what a shakeup it would be.
Right.
But keep your eye on this, okay? We're just starting to learn about it. We want you to keep your eye on it and you learn about it. And mainly, remember one thing: there's going to be opportunity even if they just once they're officially in the IMF, there's going to be opportunity.
They're in the IMF
as of October.
They're in the IMF.
Correct.
They're in the IMF.
Correct.
So you're going to see some shakeup and some volatility next week in the marketplace. just as Brexit, and if you listen to Dan and I right after Brexit happened, we saw major volatility, but if you read all the data behind the volatility, it said it would take years before it actually causes any long-term effects. This is the same thing, that we're going to see short-term volatility, and then we're probably going to get back to a normal place, because they're saying it's going to be years before we're going to see something like that. You know what I mean? Some major changes.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. You're listening to Real Estate Exposed, News Radio 600 KOGO. Daniel Beer, Todd Pianin, and the phone number, should you want to connect with us here, is 800-676-2420. 800-676-2420. Couple of announcements, some housekeeping to do. One, keep your eye out for the coming round of the home selling workshops. The San Diego home selling workshops are due to return. Dates haven't yet officially been confirmed, but if you want early bird access to make sure you get your seat, call 800-676-2420.
We're meeting next week about these dates. We're actually going to do something unusual for Dan and Todd. We're actually going to plan out the next 15 months of when we're doing these home selling seminars, which is going to be exciting for all of us.
Touch base with us for early access, okay? Because we're going to do more of them, but they're going to be smaller and more exclusive. So just reach out if you want your early bird access, 800-676-2420. It's anticipated that the next round will be in November. Dates yet to be confirmed. But again, if you want to be at the top of that list, reach out. Secondly, the main thing is keeping the main thing the main thing.
Yes.
Stephen Covey gave us that gift.
Right.
In the 7 highly effective, or the 7 habits of highly effective people.
Yep.
In the main thing in success anywhere in life, is not doing what all others are doing. Because you literally, categorically, by definition, just cannot expect a superior result if you're doing the same thing as everybody else. And what everybody out there...
So I shouldn't have ordered the iPhone 7 Plus?
Exactly. Exactly. But what everybody out there does is they start wondering about their home value. They want to know what their home would be worth. And what they do is they get together with, they chase down an agent and they get comps. They get CMAs. They find out what the latest sales have been, and they automatically decide, so that's what we're worth. Let's get something very, very straight. That is an approach based only on history, not on where the market movement is headed. It's an approach based not one bit on strategic intent and what we call market positioning. Okay, market positioning and virtual shelf space. 2 concepts critical to be understood, and what is at the core and the heart of what smart home sellers do, which is access a market positioning report versus just the comps any agent can give them. Any agent. And it's no secret it doesn't take too much effort to become one, okay? We didn't have to go, it's not like being an MD. It's not like having to be a lawyer. Very low barrier to entry. Yeah, you've met agents you probably respect, and you've met those that you don't, and the industry's full of both, okay? So careful when you're doing what all of them are doing, which is relying on comps. What you need is to understand virtual shelf space and market positioning, and then couple that with the room-by-room analysis. That's what shows you how to strategically position your home into the marketplace for top and superior response from buyers. Your goal as a seller is to create a negotiating advantage over the buyer by using their own psychology in your favor, by understanding the buying process and where and how to speak to them at every turn. Get your free market positioning report. We've set up a website for you. Now, we've offered this the last 3 weeks going back, I believe, but the feedback's so good, so positive, and the results are just something we can't get away from. We need to get it out to you one more time. But now we're bringing in the one thing we weren't ever offering previously, just because it takes a little more time, but it makes it that much better and that much more complete. The missing ingredient always was the room-by-room analysis. And now we're going to give you both. Visit valuesinsandiego.com. That's values, okay, plural, values insandiego.com. Get your free market positioning report and your room-by-room analysis. And with those two tools, you'll understand when and how to strike for a greater and superior result than what everyone else around you is doing, chasing down old news, also known as comps in the real estate world. We're going to hit break. Coming back, we'll be with you, touching on a Bloomberg article that is hitting at the market here on the West Coast. There's a shift coming. The market's changing. That's why more than ever that market positioning report's important to you. Valuesinsandiego.com, or you can call 800-676-2420. We're going to be back with the best of us right now. So there's talk of market shifting across the United States into the West Coast. For most people, that's very new news. They're unaware of it, haven't heard of it. And that's because of one of two reasons. Either they haven't been listening to the show, haven't been reading what we're writing when we're publishing articles.
Right.
Or
on Facebook, I mean, you've got great Facebook posts. I've got great Facebook posts. Real Estate Exposed has great Facebook posts. So, I mean, we're all over there about that.
Or you're likely, and by the way, most of us aren't, so it's not commentary, it's just reality, is you're likely not living in the high-end, inland luxury San Diego market. Because if you were, and I said inland, high-end, luxury.
Wait, can I make a comment real quick?
Those three things. That's where you need to, that's where it starts, yeah.
So, I do a lot of business in Los Angeles.
Yep.
So I do a lot of business in Los Angeles as well because that's where I came from. I got a lot of high-end buyers and sellers in Los Angeles. And your predictions about the high-end real estate market going, slowing down, I've got guys that are calling me up now telling me that the market's bubbled over, frothing down, and they're able to get things 5 to 20% cheaper than they were to get them 3 months ago in the high end. We're talking $3 to $6 million. Like I got clients that have lots of cash, and then they're just starting to buy property in LA for, if it's listed for 3.4, they're offering 2.6, and they're getting them all day long.
So why does that matter to you if you're not buying or selling multi-million-dollar properties? The reason it matters to you, to everybody you know, is that's where that end of the market is where markets begin shifting. They don't start falling out at the bread and butter price points. They don't start falling out at median price point. They don't start falling out at, 400,000 or 500,000. It's that upper end inland stuff that starts to soften, and then it trickles out to the rest of the market. So that's why you could go talk to a La Jolla seller right now or a La Jolla homeowner. You can go talk to a La Jolla buyer. They'll tell you that I'm crazy. They'll tell you that everything is red hot. They also would have told you that in 2006, by the way. Okay? And the reason why is it starts in that inland luxury market. It starts to soften. You get price reductions, and you start seeing inventory build up. And then it starts to trickle out to everybody else. So a couple things before we all panic. I'm not sharing this with you so you run out and sell your home.
Well, so the bottom's not dropping. I mean, you're not talking about a 20 or 30% drop.
No. So everybody, when I have these conversations, people automatically start tying it into their memory of the last time this happened, which was that 2008, 2009 market where it was horrifying.
Well, anybody could get a loan.
It was the environment upon which that industry, or not that industry, but that economy was built, that housing market was built, was a complete farce. It was built on bad loans. Today, every loan that's been done since 2009 is a good loan. And so
the vintage of the buyers are good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, these are really, everyone that's been buying homes in the last, let's call it 7 years, really are qualified for their homes. So what we're talking about is just simply moving into a typical, boring, run-of-the-mill downturn. The same type we have always had and will continue to have, but just be aware that we are in the early stages of that shift. Our next peak we probably won't see until sometime in the year 2021 to 2024 or so, and that's just based on 7-year, on these cycles that we see traditionally. Okay, and that, by the way, is coming directly from Gary Keller. Gary Keller, the owner of the largest real estate company in the world, and probably, let's just call him, let's basically call him like the Jesus of real estate. The guy is a prophet. I mean, he truly is in the real estate world. That's what he's sharing, and he doesn't benefit from sharing that. He runs a real estate company. Right. If he was just trying to throw propaganda out there, he'd
tell you everything's great.
Exactly.
Right.
But that's the reality. Now, I've been saying this because I see it happening. We do a degree of business that allows us to see the marketplace moving and shifting at different price points around the county. But now you have Bloomberg.
You're doing this. You're doing this to do what we set out to do when we created this show. You are doing this to expose the marketplace and to expose the truth. You're not doing it to help your business. You're not doing it to help my business. You're doing it to help. That
doesn't help at all.
You're exactly. You're doing this just for the consumer's benefit, for our listeners' benefit.
If you go to Bloomberg, there's an article right on Bloomberg. Some of them. Here's the headline. Some of America's hottest housing markets are cooling off. Okay, that was just published September 28th, just a couple days back. So what you're seeing is even the national media outlets are just starting to pick it up. Why is this important to you? Why do you listen to the show to begin with? You listen to get an edge on the market, to be ahead of it, to not just be reacting when all the masses are reacting, just like we talked about in the last segment, doing what everyone else does, whether it's your home buying approach, your home selling approach, or the way you react to news, isn't going to get you anywhere positive. Check out that article on Bloomberg. Keep yourself apprised of what's going on. Call us. We're happy to share it with you and how it affects your personal home and neighborhood. Number's 800-676-2420 to remind you of that package, the market positioning report, plus the room-by-room analysis, both complimentary and without obligation. You visit valuesinsandiego.com. Daniel Beer, on behalf of my team, great being with you on another Sunday morning.
It's always fun hanging out with you Sunday morning, Dan. Thank you. I'm Todd Pianin from Home Street Bank, a member of the FDIC Equal Housing Lender. NMLS ID number 304014. You can find Todd and Taisha on Facebook. You can find Real Estate Exposed on Facebook. Have a great Sunday, everyone.